Okay, Barbados has one of the best passport travel documents in the world. One thing I do like about it is the only country that I know of in the Caribbean that has visa-free travel now to Canada. It actually has more visa-free or visa-free on arrival countries and territories that you can go to than the St. Kitts and Nevis passport. Now, they don't have a fast track program in Barbados like they do in St. Kitts and Nevis, but if you're looking for a really good passport that might not ever be affected if the OECD comes in and tries to hit on these fast track citizenship programs, this is one I would strongly look at. In fact, I'm actually becoming more attracted to this passport than I am the Irish passport. And Ireland's got a really good deal there. I would say these two are, I would say the two best in the world when you consider dual citizenship. You can conceptually get your taxes to zero if you're filing as a non-dom, and it depends on how much you bring into the country, or close to zero. And they've just got a really good tax system, good visa-free travel, allow dual citizenship. It's got the whole ball of wax. It's got everything you want, okay, these two passports. The thing I don't like about Ireland, and I've mentioned this before, not just the weather, but Ireland does have an inheritance tax. Now, you can avoid the inheritance tax if you skip the residency. Let me give you an example, and then I'm going to get back to this, but I wanted to explain to you why I do like Barbados a little bit more now than Ireland. Ireland, if you go there, it's going to take you about 6 years to get the passport, okay? And then you're looking at, you've got to leave Ireland for at least around 3 years before you can escape the taxes there, okay? Now, you can go in as a non-dom, and you can go all the way up as a non-dom and get the passport in Ireland. But the problem is if you're there for the first 5 years, they don't hit you with inheritance tax if you die. But after 5 years, conceptually, you would still not have that passport at that point. They're going to hit you with inheritance tax if you die, depending on who you leave your assets to. The percentages are based on who you leave the assets to, but it can be quite high. And this is the thing you have to look at. And this is probably the thing I don't like about Ireland the most, not just the weather, but that. And great thing about Barbados is they don't have an inheritance or estate tax. They don't have a capital gains tax. They do have a property tax. It's not bad at all. They do have an income tax, but by using the non-dom system, if you go in there and you file as a non-dom, you could literally get your taxes close to zero. Now, the brackets are quite high. They're up to around a little over 28%. But again, that's based on what you bring in, not what you make, okay? So that's the way you have to look at it. If you're a big spender, I would not do this. If you're a big spender, you got to be plowing out money all the time, and you're bringing in stuff in that's you're bringing a lot of money into the country, then this might not be what you want to be looking for. You might want to be picking a place that has a strict territorial tax system, or even St. Kitts that has a pure either a pure tax saving status or either territorial tax system. Anyway, the way this works, let me tell you how it works, and then you can decide. And we do this. If you want help on this, you can contact us and we can go from there. It's called the Special Entry and Reside Permit. So whenever I say CERP, that's what it stands for, which enables the qualified individuals as well as their spouse and children to obtain residency status in Barbados. Now, there are 4 qualifying CERP categories. Number 1 is Category 1, which is evidence of investment in Barbados of at least $2 million from funds sourced outside of Barbados, in addition to evidence of high net worth in excess of $5 million. So, in other words, you're going to have to invest, and you're also going to you invest $2 million. You're going to have to prove you got at least assets of $5 million and up. Okay. Now, Category 2 is quite a bit less. This is a property owner. The value of the property must be at least $300,000. So, if you purchase a property there, you can qualify for that. Now, Category 3 is persons who possess special skills which are deemed critical to the growth and development of Barbados. That's the third choice, and the fourth one is parents or grandparents of a citizen of Barbados must be over the age of 60 years old. Now, there are some fundamental differences between that category of 1 CERP and the Category 2 CERP. The duration of the Category 1 CERP varies and becomes indefinite after age 60, whereas the Category 2 CERP is issued for renewable for 5-year periods, and Category 1 holders have automatic entitlement to work permits. Category 2, remember Category 2 is buying the property. Category 1 is where you invest in at least $2 million. But Category 2 holders are not allowed to work in Barbados. Now, you could have a company set up outside, like you could have a St. Kitts company and live in Barbados. That would be okay. And then have the house option if you want to do that. Now, each CERP applicant must submit under cover a letter of completed Form D, application for permission to vary period of stay in Barbados and conditions of stay, and the application fee of $150 in addition to the following that I'm going to go over with you here. You're going to have show evidence of health insurance in excess of $500,000 US. You're looking at a police certificate of character, a PCC, from any country in which the applicant has resided for a period of six months or more after the age of 16 years old, and then an enhanced disclosure certificate in lieu of PCC for British applicants. The next proof is you're going to have one passport size photo, original birth certificate and a copy, certified copy of biodata page of the applicant's passport, marriage certificate if you're married, proof of relationship to dependents where applicable by way of birth certificates or legal documents. Now, this process is actually pretty easy to get. It's not that difficult to get this. But you know, you're going to have to look at your assets and what you're typically going to qualify for on this to see if you're going to be able to get in this type of program. Also, folks, if you can do us a big favor, we don't monetize our channel. If you like our videos, give us a thumbs up, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button on the right of your screen here. You get new videos automatically as they come out, and we'd like to hear from you. If you got a question or comment, just put it below and go to our website, www.citizenship.com. If you want to legally get your income taxes to zero, or how to get a second passport as quick as around 8 to 12 months. Now, all documents in a foreign language other than English must be translated. Now, and one thing I do like about Barbados is it is the English-speaking country, and it does escape almost every hurricane. It's in the part of the Caribbean where they don't typically get hurricanes. Now, an applicant seeking a Category 1 CERP must furnish a certified statement of assets in excess of $5 million from an auditor or broker and evidence of investment in Barbados with a value of at least $2 million US. Now, Category 2, again, that's with the property option. Applicants must provide proof of ownership of a property in Barbados as well as evidence that they can financially support themselves for the duration of the period granted. Now, the investment is actually defined to include a rental, real estate, property development projects, manufacturing, tourism, bank deposits, mutual funds, or bonds, or any financial instrument. Now, all CERP qualifying investment must be purchased from funds sourced outside of the island and not subject to any encumbrances. Now, Category 1 terms and fees, over age 60, indefinite term, one-time fee of $5,000 US, between the ages of 50 and 60, term of 5 to 10 years, but renewable as indefinite after age 60, one-time fee of US. Now, and then you got $3,500 up to age 60, one-time fee of US, and then $5,000 if renewed at age 60. Now, under the age of 50 years old, a term of a 5-year until the age of 60, and then fee of $5,000 per term up to age 60, and then renewable as indefinite after age 60, and then a one-time fee of $5,000 if renewed at age 60. Now, subject to payment of an additional fee, CERP holders are entitled to work permit. CERP holders are entitled to a work permit. Fees are as follows: over age 60 upfront, one-time fee of $15,000 US, or US $1,750 US per annum. And then under age 60 upfront, one-time fee of US $20,000 or US $2,000 per annum. Now, again, like I said, you can skip all this by just, you can have the property option and then just have your company outside. In fact, I would advise you to do that because your taxes will be a lot less if you do that now, and just keep the money outside of Barbados. Otherwise, you're going to come in those high brackets I mentioned earlier. Now, spouses and dependents under age 18 or still attending university will get the same period as the cert holder evidence of schooling required every 3 years. A spouse will have to pay a $150 application fee plus the appropriate cert fee I mentioned earlier, and then you have the $150 application fee will need to be paid for each dependent. Now, cert holders are also required to declare tax residency in writing in Barbados Revenue Authority. And then you got Category 2 terms and fees, which is $5,000 per adult for a renewable 5-year period, and then $150 for minor dependents who are students for the life of the cert, and then spouses and dependents under age 18 or still attending university will get the same period as the cert holder, evidence of schooling required every 3 years. A spouse will have to pay $150 application fee plus the appropriate cert fee mentioned earlier. Now, the $150 application fee will need to be paid for each dependent, and then cert holders are also required to declare tax residency in writing to Barbados Revenue Authority. This is whether you are a non-dom or you're not qualifying as a non-dom. Now, I'm going to go through some details on this and telling you, because these are questions that you're going to come up with, and I'm going to try to go through more in detail on how this is going to work. Now, one thing that you need to know too is if you're going there and you're planning on taking a lot of furniture, I would tell you, if you're going to do it, I would sell your furniture and stuff before you take an international move. That was a huge mistake I made. If you've got stuff like the expense ends up it's not worth it. You're better off, if you've got antiques, giving them back to other family members and sell the other parts because it's just not worth it, okay? Or just keep them someplace wherever you're coming from. But to me, I would just get rid of it because that's the best way to do that. Now, to obtain citizenship in Barbados, there's some things you're going to have to look at. An individual must meet the statutory requirements of having been ordinarily resident in Barbados for a period of no less than 7 years immediately preceding the date of their application. Of this period, at least 5 years in aggregate must have been physically spent in Barbados. So this is not some sort of residency program that's a paper residency. You're going to have to spend some time on the ground here, or you're not going to get the passport. That's something you're going to have to think about here, and it's not going to be quick. Regarding CARICOM nationals, while membership in the Caribbean community may provide certain immigration and work-related benefits, it does not automatically reduce the residency requirement for citizenship. It will help you, like if you have citizenship in St. Kitts and you want to go and then get and then work in Barbados, it will help you, especially if you already have citizenship in another CARICOM country before you go into Barbados. Now, will any type of property qualify for the property option in getting residency in Barbados that leads to citizenship, like a triplex, condo, or house, as long as it's $300,000? Now, regarding that, you can use any type of property that you want for that, okay? And it doesn't have to be any specific area of Barbados. They don't have like citizenship zones. It's anywhere you want to buy it, okay? Now, regarding the $2 million investment under the Category 1 CERT option, qualifying investments may include these. These are the different investments you can go in if you choose to do that for the Category 1. This is where you're putting in $2 million. Real estate's one. Business investments, another one. Manufacturing or tourism industry investments, one. Government bonds is another one. Security investments is another one. Fund investments and also bank deposits. Now, all CERT qualifying investments must be made using funds sourced from outside of Barbados and must not be subject to any encumbrances. Now, as for tax residency, an individual becomes a tax resident in Barbados if they do these options, okay? You spend more than 182 days in total in Barbados within a calendar year, or number two, are considered ordinarily resident, which means they have permanent accommodation available or personal use in Barbados and have given notice to the Revenue Commissioner of their intent to reside in Barbados or at least for at least 2 consecutive income years. Now, regarding the property investment option, this can be a property as long as its value is at least $300,000. So it can be any type of property that you want. Now, it is indeed impossible to file a non-domiciled tax return both before and after obtaining citizenship. So even if you get citizenship, it does not knock you out of that non-dom status. Okay. Now, additionally, you're going to please note that a declaration of tax residency is only required if the client intends for Barbados to be their country of tax residence. If this is not the case, then no such tax residency is necessary. Now, let's look at securities investment. Now, the securities investment must be a direct purchase of equities within Barbados. A transfer of equities already held by the client would not meet the requirement. In other words, let me give you an example of what I'm talking about. You can go and you can get Barbados type publicly traded stocks. But if you own stocks in Hong Kong and then you switch that to a Barbados broker, that's not going to help you at all. Okay, you have to buy equities that are actually in Barbados, not outside and just switching to the broker. So that's something that's real important that you need to know about there. Now, tax residency, if a client files a non-dom return in Barbados, they're declaring tax residency in Barbados for the relevant tax year. Now, filing a non-dom indicates that the individual is a tax resident, but not domiciled in Barbados. Now, this status allows them to be taxed only on Barbados source income and on foreign income to the extent it is remitted to Barbados. If you don't remit it to Barbados, you're not taxed on it. I don't care if it's $1 million, okay? Now, to qualify as a tax resident, the individual must generally be physically present in Barbados for at least 182 days in the year or be deemed ordinarily resident. Now, let's look at the citizenship to get the passport. Now, tax residency does not impact eligibility for Barbados passport, as citizenship requires that an individual be ordinarily resident in Barbados for at least 7 years immediately preceding the date of their application, with a minimum of 5 years in aggregate spent physically in Barbados during that period. Now let's look at the Category 2 CERP. This is dealing with the property option of $300,000 US. Now, should the client proceed with the option of $300,000 with the real estate, and remember, you can get the real estate at any. It can be any place in Barbados, and it can be any type of real estate as long as it's $300,000. But under the Category 2 CERP, while filing as a non-dom, the funds brought into Barbados for the property purchase would not be treated as taxable income. So, any time, including the $2 million that you bring in, okay, that escapes the remitted tax on income because you're investing in Barbados. So they give you an exemption on that. Now, Barbados does not tax capital gains or capital remitted for investment purposes. That such funds would be excluded from income tax under the remittance basis. However, if the property generates local income, like rental income and stuff like this, then you would be subject to tax in Barbados. If the client would be interested in finding out more on this, you can contact us at www.citizenshipquickly.com and just ask for some help. And again, folks, it would help tremendously out on our algorithm of our channel and help us get this video to more people. If you'll hit the subscribe button right on your screen here, and you get new videos automatically as they come out. And also, if you like our videos, give us a thumbs up and get these videos out to some of your friends too. This would help us out tremendously and help us again get higher up with the algorithm and help us build our channel. And I'll look forward to talking to you on the next video. Take care.